On this episode of the podcast, we are joined by Oscar, who has mastered the art of developing and producing multiple films simultaneously. His unique point of view on why a still image can often convey more than a trailer is just one of the many reasons I'm excited to have him here. Oscar, in order to understand how you are here, well, not today on the podcast, but with your career, how did you get into this? How did your career started as a writer, producer, and lately you've been directing? So tell me a little bit about that, please.
Yeah, so where it started, I've always been interested in film since I was a child, from making short films with my brother and neighbours, and we'd sneak into the holiday parks in Westwood Ho with a camcorder and shoot like knockdown ginger films on all the holiday makers. So it's always been a part of my life, but I lost it for a little while in my late teens, and then found it again in early 20s because I've always had a passion for writing. That could be songwriting, writing scripts, novels, absolutely anything. I just like telling stories. And then, I don't know how long ago this was now, about 5 years, I thought, you know what, I really miss that. I miss just writing like long form material. So I wrote a script called Wendy, which was like a modern adaptation of Peter Pan. It's all set in London, and it's proper like British romantic drama. And then that got optioned by a company. That's where I met Joshie Lee, who I work with on Gloucester Film Festival. And then from there, it just kind of felt right and everything kept rolling. But like I'm sure we'll probably touch throughout the course of this podcast, it's so hard to get an opportunity. Like anybody, you kind of need to create your own opportunities. Like that is the key to this industry. So I knew from like day one, from doing music before, like how am I going to, spread my name about? How am I going to make something worth doing and for people to worth listening to or worth watching, etc. So I kept making stuff, and then my first project with my wife Jade was called Conversations. It was an audio drama, 4 episodes, all about half hour long. And I did really well, and we were really proud of that. And it had a really nice, like solid audience for the time that we released it. And then I was like, oh, okay, actually, I think I'm on to something here. I think I have something worth doing. And then we launched OJ Productions, which originally was OJ Script Writers, because we were just planning to write. And that's kind of what I saw myself doing. Then I wrote a series of B-movie horror films. Some came to fruition, some didn't, for other companies. And then I thought, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm not passionate about horror. I want something that's mine. Like I'm creating and I'm telling stories because I'm passionate about it. But yeah, I'm doing jobs, to get a professional credit, which is really helpful to progress. But I wanted to do something that creatively fulfilled me in the first place to why I even started. So then I did Cycles, which was a feature film all set in one location, a university drama between 2 brothers who are coming of age. And I did that with no film experience at all. I didn't make a short film first. I did it with 2 actors, 3 crew members, all of which had never made a film before, except our producer, Luciano. And it was kind of one of those moments where it's just like, screw it. I've got this script that I've written that I was really proud of. I knew we could pull it off. I managed to get the location and find the right people to make it feel authentic and real. And we just went for it. And it did really well for us. It got some great festival wins. You can now watch it worldwide digitally. It's got a DVD release in the States. And it also had, I think this was 2 years ago or 18 months, a Southwest Theatre Company did an adaptation, and it went on a UK tour. And so it had like a really long life for something that we spent like £1,000 on. Yeah. And everyone was volunteers and first timers. And I've never looked back since then.
Yeah, but you were directing. That was your first feature that you wrote and you directed.
Yeah.
But you were doing a script supervising before that. Was that just dipping your toes into the film world sort of thing? Or what was your aim with script supervising? Because you did a few jobs like that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's where we met, so I'm glad I did it for that reason. But I mean, for script supervising, I joined that project because Ricardo advertised that he wanted someone basically to come and do a new draft of the script. He wanted it to be punched up a little bit, dialogue to be a bit more interesting. So I actually came onto the unfinished chapter as a writer to do a final draft, or I did a final few. And then once I did that, he was like, oh, I need a script supervisor. No one knows the script more than you at this point. Yeah. Do you want to come do it? So I kind of fell into it by accident. And it was something I was thinking I'd probably do a lot more of, because I do enjoy it. But I'm just really passionate about storytelling and just fell into telling my own stories. But it's a cool job, and respect to the people that do it.
But you didn't feel like that was your place or wanted to do?
No, I was there and doing it because I had a hand in writing the script.
Yeah.
And it was really handy because like I met you and I met loads of cool people on that shoot that I've still been in touch with.
Yeah.
And I think that's the advice to take from it. Sometimes if an opportunity arises, that's maybe not exactly what you're looking to do, but is a step in the right direction, then take it.
Yeah.
Because you meet so many more people in the process.
You have this ease to write that comes naturally for you. How long did it take you to write Cycles?
Oh, not too long. I mean, I spent a little bit of time developing the story with somebody else that I knew. And then once it was ready and once it was cooked, it probably took me maybe 4 to 8 weeks to be on a draft I'm happy with. But like, I will never start writing something until like it's fully cooked in my head. And I think that's so important for like any writer, because so many people rush into it and then spend a year on a draft. You know, but I think I can spend a year, 2 years just cooking something in my head first.
Yeah.
Like I had the idea for Melodrive when we were in rehearsals of Cycles. But
but this is the thing, because on Cycles you were planning Melodrive, which was your third film.
So
officially, or
Cycles was the first, and then but I was writing and planning Melodrive at the same time as doing that, and then I made a short film in between
those two. Yeah. But when we did Melodrive, you already knew that you had the script for the next one.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Is that written? Is that written?
No, that was written. It was meant to happen, but the strikes basically made all the funding fall through.
Yeah, but how? This is what my question is. How do you have this ease to write? So while you're filming something, you're already thinking of the next film. So you're splitting. This is why it's funny about your brain, that I really like, that it really splits up in half of what's coming and what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And you do those tasks at the same time, and you're doing the best that you can on both of them.
Yeah. I'll try to.
Yeah. But do you feel that that comes natural to you, or that is something that you kind of exercise with the first one, that it kind of with Cycle, that kind of that it gives you confidence in order to write Melodrive, let's say?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, I get accused a lot by the people closest to me that I'm not focusing and I'm overlooking.
Yeah.
And that is 100% not the case. Like, no area is cut of time or cut of attention.
Yeah.
And everyone gets 110%. But the way I look at it is, as a writer, say, when I wrote Cycles, that was way before I thought of Melodrive.
Yeah.
But the time that we're actually making Cycles, as a writer, I've got stories to tell, I've got more to do and more to say. So like, yes, I'm writing Melodrive at the same time as we're in rehearsals and I'm producing and directing Cycles, but I see them as like completely separate jobs, you know? So like, I'm directing Cycles, but I'm writing Melodrive, but they don't have any correlation to each other. It's just in those few hours I get that are just mine. Instead of, you know, sitting around or watching TV, I write.
Yeah, but you were getting ahead of yourself.
Yeah. But I think that's important, especially like in the indie industry, because you need momentum. And I think the only reason I'm where I am now and have opportunity and have a nice network of people is because I haven't let up. You know, and at times that's been exhausting and not smart, and I should have looked after my health a little bit more. But at the same time, I'm really grateful for that approach, because we've kept things moving every single year when we thought we wouldn't.
Yeah. Well, Cycle was your first one. How do you feel any insecurities of doing it? Like, you just winging it?
Yeah, 100%. But I'm proud of that. Do you know what I mean? I knew Cycles were never going to be perfect, but I was okay with that because, one, I didn't think the story needed to necessarily have a perfect execution.
Yeah.
It just had to feel real and it had to feel authentic. And I would stand by that it does. But I would defend Cycles to the end of the earth just because it got me to this point. If I didn't make it and I just made something random instead just to test things out, I don't think, you know, all of those things that I said before that happened off the back of that project, that should not have happened from a no budget feature for like $1,000.
Yeah.
You know, so
it was extra.
Yeah, it has its issues. Of course it does, like anyone's first project. But I think the life it continues to have now, like on my Facebook on, when was this, Thursday or maybe Wednesday, somebody commented on a post from 2022 in America.
That. Yeah,
saying that they really liked it. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, and it lives on. And that was never the plan that it would live on. You know, we just wanted to make something to the best of our current ability. And that's, you know, I always tell people when they're looking back on old projects, you know, badly or wrongly, it's like, it was right then. It doesn't mean you would make that now. I wouldn't make Cycles the same now. Of course not.
Yeah.
But at the time I did make it, it was right. It was right for me.
It wasn't starting stone sort of thing.
Yeah, 100%. But everything is, you just get better.
Yeah. There is Love with Black Spots.
Mm-hmm.
How do you come together with that idea? Because that was a short that you did in between Cycles and Melodrive.
Yeah, so Love with Black Spots was a project about a ladybird infestation in this couple's house as they're slowly falling apart, and, you know, the effect that has on them. That project came about because I was in like the pitch process for Melodrive, and I realized my portfolio is pretty bare. Like as a filmmaker, I have nothing. I have this film that's like exceeding its expectations in Cycles, but at the same time, it is very rough and very raw. You know, so I wanted something that just felt a little bit more legit and have a more cinematic approach, because Cycles was like niche, fly on the wall, kind of documentary style. But I wanted Love with Black Spots to be a way to showcase more of my skills that I haven't had a chance to yet. So really, without taking like the passion out of it, because there was a lot of that behind it, Love with Black Spots was tactical to fill out my portfolio to sign Melodrive. Yes.
Just to add it more. How long did it take you to produce Love with Black Spots?
Oh, not very long. I think we started, I did this one with Jade. We produced it together and wrote it together. I think we started in like January of the year it came out. We shot it in April, and then we released it in September. So, yeah.
That pre-production was really fast. Nothing compared like Melodrive.
Yes. I will never forget it.
How long Melodrive took you to pre-produce it?
We started in October 2022. We shot in April, so, you know, a few more months on there. Mm-hmm. But then, you know, Melodrive is only coming out now in first quarter of this year. So it's been a long process, but pre-production was longer on Melodrive because we were also making an album. You know, we were recording the whole soundtrack album, which was part of our pre-production. Yeah. So we spent a lot, mainly October to January was all the album.
When you started with Cycles, did you know what you needed to do in order to produce it, or?
No. So I did have a producer working with me on Cycles called Luciano, who helped me out and basically helped guide where we should go and what we should do. But it was a very simple project, and that was the reason we did it and had the confidence to do it in the first place without experience. It was one location, university dorm room, 2 actors. It can't go too wrong.
Because the steps that you taken from film to film to film, I feel like they were like big steps. They were not small steps.
But tactical, and like I said about Love with Black Spots, on purpose to get to Melodrive.
Yes, but the pre-production that requires to do a feature film like Melodrive is massive in compared to what you did in Cycles only a few years back, and Cycles being your first feature film.
Yeah.
They're both feature films, and they're very complex in terms of pre-production. So how do you get to Melodrive with only 2 films under your sleeve of experience? Because what you told me as well, that is one thing that is really valuable that I spoke to you before I started the podcast, is how do you wanted to pitch this idea of Melodrive, and you said that you wanted to have all the numbers dialed down and all the specifications that executive producers are going to ask you.
Yeah.
How do you learn, and where do you learn all the process? Say they're gonna ask me this, and I'm gonna have this. So you have all the answers presented when you were speaking with people to fund the film. So where do you learn all that?
I think I don't know. There's not anywhere particular. I would put it down to the fact of like the small experience I did have, but also whilst I didn't speak to a lot of filmmakers before Cycles because I didn't know they'd all tell me not to do it. Yeah. Afterwards I did, and I really grew my network and I met a lot of people. Yeah. So that was a big one, like speaking to others, learning what other people are making and what their approach is and how they're doing it. But I think more than anything, I have a very like meticulous approach to everything I do.
Yes.
So when it came to pitching Melodrive, it's like, I don't feel comfortable walking into a room without the information.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I can talk and I could wing it, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
You know, like I know they're going to want to know what the budget is, so I'm going to have the budget done and airtight. You know, I know they're going to know the schedule is, so I'm going to have that done and all of the locations as to when. You know, all of those things, those bits and beyond, were basically to calm my own nerves, not really for them. And then I only learned that was the right way to do things after I had done it. So I didn't really collate all the information for the producers.
Okay, so you didn't
I did it
know.
for me, yeah.
I get it. So it was more for you to have it under control than anything else.
And I mean, I knew that they would want it, so it wasn't like completely out of the blue, but to the extent it was really for me. Like if any questions come up, I need to be prepared.
Yeah.
Because I want this film to get made.
Because this is what really surprised me from the pre-production of Melodive, that you did only cycles. Mm-hmm. You rush Love in Black Spots. Love with Black Spots.
Yeah.
You rush that out just to add more to your portfolio in order to pitch for Melodive.
Yeah.
But from the wider view of a production company, you don't really have that much experience. Especially, Cycle was only one location. Yep. Love with Black Spot was 2 or 3, something like that.
No more than 5. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that many. And after that, you pitch in Melodive, which is a bigger, more complex project where you have to answer all the questions in terms of how many crew you're going to need, how much you want to pay them, I don't know, food, location, what else involves in pre-production? Food, location.
Rehearsals, all of it, yeah.
Rehearsals.
Yeah, what that's going to cost, you know, what production is going to cost, post-production.
Where do you get all these numbers from?
I don't really have a fine. I mean, talking to people, like I have friends that have made like, you know, finance features before me that I asked, what was your approach to this? Or how did you budget this part? Because I don't really know where to get a number from.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So like I would have conversations, but for the most part, it's just doing the legwork. It's like finding out, cool, well, I'll contact this location. How much would it be? Melodive was kind of different though, because I shot it in my hometown.
Yeah.
I cashed in basically every favor I've ever had.
Okay.
So in terms of location, there wasn't really a big budget to work on. And that was when pitching the film. And, you know, you're saying like, how did I know what to go in with? Or it's a big jump, and you're totally right. And I knew that. And that's why I put all of the time in to have all the answers and all the numbers and all the information. But really what sold it was just like my belief and confidence for this idea.
Yeah.
You know, and what I've learned from the beginning to now, it really doesn't necessarily matter that much what your experience is or what you've already done and what you're going to do. It really matters like how strong is the script.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not for me to say or anybody else to say, but you'll find out if it gets made. Do you know what I mean? And that was the thing on Melodive. What gave me success was I was getting quick replies and emails of people wanting to do it, mainly because of the mix of the fact it also had a soundtrack album. So that's 2 revenue streams.
Yeah.
And I knew that when pitching it. I was like, I'm going to lean on that because it's so hard to make money back from film. But what if the film isn't the only way that you're making your money back? And you also have the album. So that was a big part of the selling point. And then from there, it's just as the meetings grew or the more I took, it's like, cool, I know what to say this time. And then it got to a point where I got to choose who I wanted to make the film with. And
so what, you
that
got
was a really
so
nice
many
experience.
Different offers?
Yeah, so there was 3 in total that I was deciding between.
Wow.
And I went with M&M because they understood that this project not only had a personal element to it, but because they could see that I knew how it was possible on this money, you know, and that meant a lot. That they could trust that, okay, we can see you know how to pull this off.
Yeah.
We can see that you're going to pull this off, you know, and you're going to leave no stone unturned. And then I had the confidence in that to be like, great, because I need the freedom to pick the crew because I know the people that are going to go, you know, above and beyond to pull this off.
Yeah.
You know, the ones that are going to be creatively inclined to do so.
Yeah.
And I did get that freedom with them, and it wasn't about anything else. It was just about achieving it.
And from doing your first 2 films, where do you get the crew from? Like, let's go cycles.
Yeah.
Because I picture myself, I'm you right now, and I have cycles here, and I believe in cycles. And I said, how do I sell you cycles to come and help me out on it?
Yeah.
Because you don't know me, and I have no experience.
Yeah.
but I got this and I want to do it. So come and help me. Sell me that.
I mean, it comes down again to how people perceive the script. If it's strong, people will want to do it. If it's not, they won't, you know, and that's why I put a lot of time and care into that. And like a really good pitch deck means the world. If you can just excite a crew member, like, oh, that looks good. That looks fun to do, whether it is or whether it isn't. If the pitch deck's good, you know, people are excited. In terms of finding the crew, Luciano I met through that Wendy script that got optioned, the very first thing I ever did.
Yeah.
I met him because he had his own company. He really liked the script. And then it was like, oh, you should make it. And I was like, oh, I don't know, should I? I want to. And then that was kind of that extra bit of motivation. And then finding the rest of the crew, we didn't have anyone else. Like I did camera. Okay. Because I didn't know anyone. Yep. And I definitely couldn't find anyone or in the time frame. You know, we made it for no money. Everyone was volunteers. And if I know what this film is, I'll just do it. And I'm glad I did now, even though there's a few issues. I'm glad I did because I learned so much from shooting the film that I'm so grateful for. And then my wife, Jade, was script supervisor and like everything else. And then Luciano was also the production designer. And then our sound guy, Elliot, who I still work with now, we've done everything together. I couldn't find a sound guy anywhere. I didn't know who to ask because I can't just go out as this filmmaker that's got nothing. We're like, hey, sound person, can you come and volunteer? No one's doing that, you know? But me and Elliot went to uni together on a music course. And I thought, oh, he was always a cool guy that was pretty up for like anything creative. Yeah. So I just messaged him and I was like, Elliot, I need a sound recordist for this film I'm doing. Do you want to come get involved? And he was just like, yeah, all right, sounds fun, sounds different. And then he came to a few rehearsals and he had never used a kit before, like a boom or any of that. So we practiced, all of us together. And then that was it. And then we had Lee Morgan there as well doing behind the scenes. And that was the team, you know. But from that and from Cycles, you know, being screened and getting out in the world, I met a lot more people because of, you know, where it went. Yeah. And like the guy that did the sound mix, Brad Sweetman, I met on Unfinished Chapter. Yeah. And he did that. And there's a few other people that I'm forgetting, I'm sure. But I met so many people through that process that was a big thing for me. And also then I have the confidence and I have the reason to reach out to other people. Yeah, so I have these now. Yeah, exactly. So it made sense. And like I could ask you to come and shoot the premiere because we had just recently met. And I was like, oh, cool. Well, now I know Rigo. And then just watching you and what you do through social media and all the people you work with. And I think that's really important as well. Social media, as bad as it can be, it's also so good at like building your network. The amount of people I've met through there or I know of and I've hired from just seeing what they're up to. You know, it's being active in real life, but I think you also have to be active on social media to find work. Yeah, to sell your ideas and stuff like that. Yeah. There is one last thing I want to touch on Melo Drive. Took a long time for Melo Drive to come out. Yes, it did. I thought it was going to be sooner, but everyone thought it's going to be sooner. Me too. Are you happy with Melo Drive on how it all done, the things that you learn from pre-production on Melo Drive, from going into shooting Melo Drive, from post-production on Melo Drive to where it is now to be released in a few days? Is Melo Drive what you picture it from the script? You said to me when we were shooting Melo Drive, you said that there are 3 films. Yeah. One is when you write it, then the second one is when you film it, and the third one is when you edit it. Yeah. Where Melo Drive is now, is that what you picture? Similar, 90%, 50%? How is the final product of Melo Drive? It's a good question. I would say, I don't know, because I don't really hold any project that accountable. Yeah. Like, I'm happy with the script is what it is. And then like by the time we even start rehearsals, all the actors and the crew know the script better than I do. And I'll have like our AD Brad saying, oh, in this scene this happens. I'm like, does it? I don't know. You know, because like the script's one thing and it's his blueprint, but by the time I get to set, I just wanted it to feel real and I want it to come to life. So a lot of the little details in there kind of just get thrown out the window. So it's definitely, when I think of the overall vision and the dream of Melo Drive, it's 100% that. You know, it's this beautiful story about being young and dumb and in love and making mistakes and coming of age. You know, all set around the nostalgia of my hometown and my upbringing. It's hit all of those emotions for me, and I'm very, very proud of it for that reason. Yeah, that's what I mean. If the final product in regards of
the message that you're trying to come across is there exactly the same way when you were writing it.
Yeah, the same reason I wrote it, same reason I made it, the same reason I released it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see all those factors that you wanted on the script being there on the film visually.
Yeah, and some are different, but they're still in line with the vision, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't say that's a loss of 10% because the overall product is what I wanted it to be. And you have to be okay with change because especially on indies, when you haven't really got any money, you can't do things exact. So it's like, what is the core of the film? And I think for anything I've done, that is always the only thing I focus on. What is the core of this film? What are the core themes, the core values of our characters and our story? Does it feel like those are honoured in this scene, yes or no? If it's a yes, cool, move on. If not, we keep going until we get it. But I think that's so important to me, of just being not just authentic to myself, but I want people to watch my films, you know, to feel authenticity and to feel there is a level of realism in it and people can see themselves as well as the characters. And that's what I aim for.
After Melodrive, you have your next script written, but where you are with that? Is it only on a script written and that's it, or you have some sort of pre-production going on with that?
Yeah, so since Melodrive, on the back of Melodrive, I did sign to do my next film, Friendly, which is a platonic romance drama set in Bristol. Then the strikes happened. It was impossible to set dates. The finances fell through. Yeah, that was hit pretty hard. So that was the first blocker. Then I was meant to be shooting a film next week. Romantic drama again, but with a horror aesthetic, and for completely unusual and devastating reasons, the personal reasons of the exec attached to that and the way their life has now suddenly changed has not made that possible either. So I've been hit twice pretty bad in these last couple of years, but it's not held me back. And I think the good thing is, like, not good thing, it's a bad thing, but we're all in the same place. You know what I mean? Everyone's struggling to get work right now. Yeah. In many ways, I feel like the luckiest filmmaker alive because I've signed 2 finance and production deals on 2 features in the last couple of years since Melodrive, but also the most unlucky because they've both fallen through. Yeah, of course. You know, so it's it's not a win-win. It's definitely a loss, but it hasn't stopped me. I've learned so much through those process, and my network has grown so much from just those additional pitch meetings or the new people I was slated to be working with. And it's not that it's dead; it's just not happening now. You know, the industry's in a weird place, especially on the indie circuit, and it's got to bounce back. And all my films are risks. You know, nobody really makes romance dramas. You know, people make genre films. That's what they make in this country. And I don't want to be doing that. And that's not the filmmaker I am. So yeah, I'll stick around and I'll keep pushing. I'll keep hammering down that door and we'll get there. But this year I have decided I'm going to be making a slightly smaller feature than those 2 with my own company, OJ Productions. Yeah. It's an adaptation of a 1920s book called The Devil in the Flesh. Yeah. And I wrote it over the last few months of 2024, and I'm in pre-production now. So
after that, because you seem to get hit a lot, what else is on the scope for this year
that's a good question. Well,
I also want to do, because you want to shoot this in the next couple of months, but you have
I'm
the
shooting in May. Yeah.
Okay. What's after May then?
I would like the project I was meant to be doing next week to be resurrected.
Okay.
That's the plan. I'm not stopping pushing that. Okay. I'm still trying to find the financing or the right producers to team up with. So it would be in an ideal dream world, I shoot Devil in the Flesh in May, and then the other one's resurrected for like a November shoot.
Ah, okay.
That would be the best year.
That's a plan. Working with your film and stuff like that, you have with Joshi, the festival. Mm-hmm. What was the reason that you two created Gloucester Film Festival? Why that festival?
That's a good question. I mean, both living in Gloucester, I mean, a bit different for me because I grew up in North Devon and Joshy's always lived here. He's been, raised in Gloucester. But, both very passionate filmmakers. There's nothing in Gloucester for us or for people like us. Mm-hmm. And every city in the UK has at least one festival. So it's like, why doesn't Gloucester? Cheltenham has one, Stroud has one. Right in the middle is Gloucester, and we have nothing. Yeah. So it's something we've wanted to do even before Melodrive. We've been wanting to do this for a long time, but we've never had the window of opportunity to do it, And then when that first feature of mine fell through, after Melodrive, I had this window, and I was like, oh, actually, and then he had a window too, so like, let's talk about it. Should we do it? And then it started to come to life slowly this time last year. And was when we started to talk about it. And then it was real in like late February, March. It was when it was then a thing, an entity. And it was really a way of just, in many ways, keeping us busy in the down periods and the quiet periods, always having a constant, because I think that's really important as a creative. It can get really disheartening when you've got nothing going on. But just to have something that like you're continuously passionate about and you're pushing, that helps your name, but it also helps others, you know. And, you know, without just being really blunt, it's also another revenue stream, and creatives need them.
So from what I get from it, Gloucester Film Festival is a way of putting your two names out there.
Yeah.
Networking.
100%.
I hate the word networking.
Me too. We're trying to use more the word community.
Networking.
What is it? How do you do it? I don't think anyone knows, do they?
Mate, when they say, oh, you need to network, man, I say, what the fuck is networking, man?
I think like without the label networking, it's really easy just to go and talk to people.
But no, everyone is easy on talking to people, to strangers. What do you talk to them about?
I don't know. I went to Cannes last year to do exactly that, amongst other things.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm not very good at networking. It's hard. It's really hard.
You come to a stranger, what do you say to them?
I don't really know, because it also feels weird just being like, oh, hey, I'm a director.
Hire
what
me.
are you? And, you know, that's like kind of the last thing I care about. What I really care about is what's brought you here. Why do you tell stories for a living, or why do you want to? But getting to like those deeper conversations, that's the bit I find difficult and awkward, you know?
Yeah, because one of the idea of networking is to create a relationship with someone else in order to do some sort of work together, collaborate into a project that push both of the entities forward.
Yeah.
But in order to do that, you need to connect with someone. So it's not like you go to Cannes, you see all these million people walking around, you watch all these films, and you say, oh, well done for your film. Hire me for your next one. You know, here's my car, sort of thing.
Yeah, they put it with 1,000 other cards they've got that week.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God.
Not to dishearten anybody.
Oh my God. No. Well, from on Gloucester Film Festival, this is one of the things that I hide behind my camera. So what my camera gives me is the confidence. Let's put an example, Gloucester Film Festival, that I did the stills for it.
Yeah. Great job, by the way.
Oh, thank you. The stills, the camera. So I'm talking to all these people that come through my lens. They are writers, directors, actors.
Yep.
What other people do you have?
Producers, we had everyone there. We had a whole mix, didn't we? Production designers.
So I talk to this. I go that way. So I talk to these people and say, "Oh, I'm doing the stills, helping out Oscar and Joshi, but I normally do stills in film." So kind of that's my background, and that's where I'm going. So I really hide. I use the camera as an excuse to talk to people.
Yeah.
But without the camera, I have absolutely no idea what to talk to you if I'm networking.
Yeah. To be fair though, I kind of feel the same. If I'm working on something, I find it a lot easier, because someone can ask, oh, what are you up to? Oh, thankfully I'm actually up to something, you know, I can tell you. But when I'm not, and it's a down period, or I'm not ready to talk about something, I find it so hard, because if we're being real, no one really cares what you're working on. You know, they want a job, and like, that's cool. We're all the same. No hard feelings, but it's then really hard to approach a conversation when like you're so aware of that. Like, there's no just like normal, nice networking. No one really wants to get to know you. And I think that's why it's lost. So at Gloucester Film Festival, the key for us is really creating a community of familiar faces and Gloucestershire filmmakers that are coming because like, oh, cool, it's really nice to see you again. You know, what you're doing, how you've been, rather than all these strangers coming into this room every 6 to 10 months and having to start again. So trying to welcome people into a networking community rather than these random networking sessions.
Yeah.
You know, and if it makes us feel like a family, and for me and Josh, it's about us being very open. Yeah. If we're really open about what we're doing and, you know, our strengths, our weaknesses, what's gone well, what hasn't gone well, you enter much more engaging conversations that feel more real and authentic because you're being honest yourself.
What was the feedback from the community on about Gloucester Film Festival? That's the first question. The second question that I have for that is Gloucester Film. I think that one of the highs of Gloucester Film Festival is that you showcased Golden West.
Yeah. Shout out Tom Berkeley.
Yeah. And you had Tom Berkeley in it, which he's a big name.
Yeah.
And he lives in Gloucester as well. So, well, grateful. I'm grateful as well because I met Tom Berkeley in there, that he lives in Gloucester, but he was really keen to go to something new.
Yeah.
That you don't know how it's gonna go.
No, we did not. I mean, we put everything into it, but still, you turn up like, oh shit, is this gonna work?
You imagine, because from the perspective of Tom Berkeley, but I know that he's really nice, and he's gonna support something that is going on in Gloucester. But if someone else, they might say, oh, it's the first time, I'm not sure if it's gonna work and stuff like that. So how do you make sure something like Gloucester Film Festival is gonna be the first edition that you do? How do you make sure that everything goes to plan and you give a good impression? So that's third question.
Third question. Okay, I'm gonna try and remember what it is.
Let's go on the first one then. What was the feedback that you had
was
from the community?
Yeah, I mean, we sold out twice. Originally, it was set to be in a cinema in Gloucester Guildhall, and we sold out quickly, which was, because you never know. This event, Gloucester Film Festival, was something that Gloucestershire wanted.
Okay.
Like we knew that from talking to people and meeting
people. You
people.
knew that was missing.
And speaking to venues. Everyone was really excited about the idea because we don't have it, know, and Gloucester needs more community events, and we knew we could deliver that, you know. So the feedback was fantastic. I think from the back of selling out once and then we sold out twice once we got upgraded to the main hall. Yeah. It added pressure, but really more than anything, it instilled belief that people did want this. And I feel like I've said this word 1,000 times, but really it's just like, however it goes, we be completely ourselves, authentic of who we want to be and how we want this festival to run, and whatever happens. We put all the time into prepping and planning and rehearsing bits, but at the same time you're only so in control of a live event like that. You can have a power cut, everyone could be evacuated, no one could turn up. So it's just letting go. I think for us it was like, we were really proud of it, and the main thing that pushed us forward was, is this an event we would want to attend? 100%. I would have been the first one to buy a ticket. Okay. And for me, that's all I needed.
So with that reference of so that links into how do you get Tom into it? Yeah. Into showcasing Golden West. So you put together the event based on what you expect from a film festival then? Or how well polished you want the festival to be?
But we've been to a lot of festivals, no offense that aren't very good. And feel a little bit
Don't mention any of that.
And start festival war right now. And they feel half-assed, and it's not about the filmmakers. They don't really care. They're there for submission fees, to show a few films, and then you all bugger off. And it's like, that's not what we want to do. I mean, we've travelled all around the country, hundreds of miles to go to festivals that we're either a part of or we like the programme. And more often than not, leave with disappointment. And that was something that was a driving force in creating Gloucester Film Festival. It was like, cool, we know exactly what not to do. Yeah. But how do we pull off the opposite?
Was that one of the reasons that you did these interval breaks in between films in order for people to talk to each other?
Yes, because I've been to festivals in the past, and I'm giving away all our secrets now, but I've been to festivals in the past, and you'll come in and you'll sit there and then you have to watch short films back to back for 4 hours. Who wants to do that? Yeah. By the time you get to the end, everyone wants to go home, or it's the last train, or you forgot what the first few films were. Yeah. So for GIF, it was really about like giving these breaks, because it was a Saturday evening, people want to drink. Bar does good business. We do good business. Venue does good business. We come back. But also, like, then what you're seeing and the award winners you're seeing, you remember them and can actually go and talk to them.
Because this is one of the things that I think it was very positive from Gloucester Film Festival, that it wasn't just that go sit down, watch a film that you don't really care. Because you go for the
let's be real, exactly.
Networking part of it. That's why you go to a festival like this. But having the little intervals in between film in order to talk to other people, because as well you're not going to talk to there is a lot of people that you want to talk to. On the first break, you might not want to talk. You don't feel the courage to talk to these people, but as you see them talking to other people that are there, you might find the courage to go and talk to them on the third interval or something like that.
Exactly. And that was the key for us. So like me and Joshy really struggle with networking, and we get quite anxious about it.
Oh my God.
Because we don't know what to say, or we don't know when to say it.
Yeah,
but the idea in giving these intervals is you see the first 3 award winners.
Yeah.
You watch a film, you have a break. Great, I really liked that film.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and say I really liked your film.
Yeah.
So what we're basically doing is giving people that first line into the networking.
Yeah.
Because we need that as people, you know, and that helped me at times. There's some people in the room I didn't really know how to approach a conversation with, or I couldn't exactly tell who they were. And then it's like, oh, cool, now they're on stage. I know who their whole team is. Yeah. I'm going to go and say hello to every single person and congratulate them. So one, it was to help us, but we knew by helping us, it would help everyone.
Yeah.
And it really was just leading by example. If we as people and as filmmakers need help to network properly,
but as
we
well,
want to give that to others.
But it's a subject that no one knows unless you're unless you're like really loose and you talk to people. But I'm not like that. I hide behind my camera a lot. Yeah. So one of the positive things that I took from it was that between intervals and stuff, and while I was taking pictures of the people of the films that they won something,
it also helped you know who to take a photo of, didn't it?
Exactly, but not only that, I was able to talk to these people and tell them, well done your film. This is what I like from the film. What do you have in the future? What you're working on now?
Here's my card.
Here's my card. No, not here. But I mean, here, they have my pictures that I won already. I don't need a card.
Yeah, precisely. Getting tagged and everything. You're done.
Yeah. But it gives you a subject to break the ice in order to start the conversation.
Yep. Which I think is so important.
Oh my God, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
You're not just shoved in this massive bar with 200 people going, crack on then.
They go talk to each other.
Yeah.
And okay. And how do you convince Tom to attend something like that? Because for the people that don't know, Tom Berkeley, he won a BAFTA film.
Yeah, he did.
And he won an Oscar for Best Short Film.
Amongst everything else.
Yes. Well, yeah, it's very successful for being so young as well. So BAFTA, which one was BAFTA? Was that the Irish?
Yeah, Irish Goodbye was his BAFTA winner and his Academy Award winner. With Golden West, they won the Rain Dance Award, which is, you know, massively prestigious as well, and amongst nearly every other festival you can think of. Cool story about this. It was our plan from our first conversation that we were going to ask Tom to be a part of it, because he came back to Gloucester when they were doing the awards run for Irish Goodbye. Yeah. Basically, him and Ross came with the awards in hand to show their film in all of these different cinemas. So we met them then, but didn't really get a chance to make an impact or anything, which was cool to see the film. And then it was like, cool, this is our first plan. But before I could even get around to emailing Tom, around all the other press and bits that were going on, he emailed us. I was like, oh, hey guys, I'm really glad to see that Gloucester finally has a film festival. Can I bring the Golden West and premiere it in the Southwest?
May. Red carpet, there you go.
So I would love to take credit, like, oh, we had this master plan and all this. But no, that instilled confidence again. It's like, cool, if Tom really wants this for his hometown and he resonates with why it should happen, then, we've got to pull this off. And he was a massive supporter, came down on his own accord to be a part of history and to make this happen for Gloucester. And it would not have been as big of a success without him. Yeah. And we'll be eternally grateful.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I think that one of the reasons that was a success is because of someone of his name and his caliber came to the festival and
he was wanting to come, and that was the biggest thing. Yeah. And he wanted to stay all night and talk to everybody. And, that's one thing we want to keep moving forward, which we really liked about Tom. His time wasn't precious. Like, anybody could talk to him for as long as they wanted to. Yeah. We were getting kicked out of the venue and he was still talking to people. You, for one of them. Yeah. And like that meant so much to us as event organizers, because he kept a promise that we've been telling people. Yeah. He will be on hand to network with. He won't be shut behind a wall or backstage or in the green room. He will be on the floor with everybody. Yeah. So no matter what guest we get in the future, and it's a high bar now, but they need to be available like that, because I think that's what Gloucester Film Festival is all about.
When is the next one?
April 12th.
Do you have a big guess?
Not yet. But we will.
Do you have any thoughts of who you want to
We've had a
get?
few plans. I mean, we haven't started fully planning it yet. Our program will be built and released on the 1st of March. So you've got a couple more months to submit your films and be a part of it.
Yeah.
This time we'll be screening all the films from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Everything that's nominated. And from 6 p.m. until 11 p.m. will be the award ceremony that we did last year. So we'll have the special guests for that and a couple of out of competition films that are going to be worth seeing. So
Will Melodrive be there?
no, Melodrive will not be there. That'd be a bit biased. But you can see Melodrive on January 18th at Gloucester Guildhall. And if this comes out after that, then snooze you lose.
Let's get into stills because
do
you
it.
take pictures as well. You are a photographer as well. You did 2 photo books?
Yeah, I've done 2 art projects, with photography.
One was more produced than the other one.
Yeah.
You put more into it.
Too much.
No, I think
So
that...
no, not artistically. I'm so proud of that. And it's the project I'm most proud of. It's Love Bites that we're talking about. But for an art project to go as insane as that did was not the plan. But I'm glad it did.
Yeah, but I think it's a creative expression.
Yeah.
And you just have to let it go.
Yeah,
and see.
Well, I spent more on Love
what it
Bites than I
takes.
spent on Cycles and Love with Black Spots combined.
Yeah, but they came... but Love Bites came a few years after those 2 films anyway, so you didn't have the experience in order to what to do. What's your take on stills on film sets and stuff like, especially in the indie world, and where people have low budgets on their films, and but they want their films to be seen.
Yep.
Because a lot of people, stills are one of the things that people cut at first as well. Well, all the behind the scenes, whether it's video or stills. So, what is your take coming from the indie world and seeing all the process that you've done from Cycles to Melodrive to Friendly, let's say, which is the upcoming one?
Yeah.
So where you stand on that?
I would not do a film without one if I could help it. I mean, this is going to be a bit weird because I've worked with you, Rigo, on every film, and I wouldn't ever do it any other way now. But speaking of that, what you've given me...
No, but it's from the producer perspective of how it helps in the film.
Well, it's the first thing anybody sees. You know, the first thing you share is the stills. If the stills look really fucking good, then people are going to think your film's going to look really good. And I think what's also worth remembering is like the attention span of modern audiences.
Yeah.
The oversaturation of social media. Most people are not going to watch your trailer. You know, I can't remember the last time.
I thought people watched trailers.
No, I can't remember the last time I watched a trailer.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
I'm just coming from a big film fan like you.
You know, like I see trailers when I go to the cinema for something I'm really hyped about, I watch it. But I'm speaking like, if you've got all these blockbuster trailers coming out, and then between those 2 posts of like massive films, you've got this indie trailer, and you haven't got really that time. And you know what, like social media, we're so quick just to scroll through everything. It's getting missed, but it's about, like, I hate this part of social media and this part of world and marketing now. Yeah. But it's about getting the information across to your audience as quick as possible. Yeah. You know, if a still can capture the attention because it's engaging, it's well lit, it's well composed. Yeah. That's it. That's the key. Do you know what I mean? Like Melodrive gained most, and the projects are done before and will continue to do, gain most of the attention from the stills. Yeah. You know, obviously you won't know how many views they're doing, or they won't always do as big likes. If someone sees it, you just need to remind people and instill in them confidence in the project. Yeah. And I think stills do that better than the trailer. Also thinking of indie films, we only have so much money. We have a lot of limitations.
This is the thing. It's very tricky because you want to promote your film. Yeah. But your budget is limited. So what would you say to someone that is producing an indie film? They have a low budget like yourself. What would you say to them in order to, what's the best way to promote their film apart from all the money they're going to put into getting, I don't know, a sunny Venice?
Get a stills photographer instead. You know, I would stand by it. And I think the example I'm going to give is Melodrive. Yeah. Melodrive was a breeze because you were there taking really good photos. Yeah. Nobody contacted me. No executives contacted me for an update. No investors contacted me for an update. Absolutely nobody spoke to me. Yeah. Because every single day after shoot, you would send a day's worth of stills over to them. Mm-hmm. They would be really happy and would move on. Okay. If you weren't there, what would happen is I would get emails and phone calls throughout the day, and especially after wrap. They'd want to see, the dailies of what we shot. They'd want to see the rushes. Okay. I would have to show them, which is not going to be very easy if they're not there.
No, it's really hard.
I'd have to then explain how the day went, how everything looks, talk them through it. Mm-hmm. Nobody has time to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like some days on that film, we have weather warnings, locations fall through. I've got to book another location. It's like 8 o'clock at night, and then I don't have time to then be speaking to the execs and investors about how it's going. Yeah. What stills do is they give you freedom because they instill confidence in everybody involved. Yeah. And also, even, taking it further, like in terms of cast and crew, if they see the stills, fuck, we look really good. Yeah, okay. They want to then work even harder the next day, and then people get excited. I mean, like on Melodrive, everyone's so excited for your photos at the end of the day. Yeah. And I think advice to like other stills photographers, you need that turnaround because it instills motivation in everybody.
Well, the turnaround of 24 hours.
Of the photos. Yeah, like you're putting them out after wrap. Yeah. And like that's very exciting for everybody involved because it's that instant gratification of what you've just achieved, you know? And then you have something to instantly put on social media. Like when we were shooting Melodrive, I mainly used behind the scenes stills as like a diary entry. Here we are today. Yeah. But everyone looked really, really good, because of the image. And then, attention for it grows and it builds. And then by the time you do get to the trailer, everyone's really intrigued to see it. Yeah. However, on an indie film, when you haven't got much money or you haven't got the best camera in the world or whatever, more often than not, the stills are going to look way better than the trailer. Yeah. So like the trailer shouldn't be the priority in my opinion. And also when you're posting it online on IMDb, no one really clicks the trailer. They scroll down to see who's in it. They see the few photos. Yeah. That's what makes it look good. If you just have a trailer, I don't think it's enough. It's because too competitive.
What I was thinking on the way here today is like, well, maybe you don't have the budget to have your 3 weeks of rolling a stills photographer or a behind the scenes guy. Just get them for one day.
Exactly.
Is that doable?
Yeah, I would just say pick your day where your shots. You're most confident in your shots. It doesn't have to be the biggest day of the shoot. I wouldn't necessarily say bring them to the biggest set piece that you want to show off. Bring them to the day that it's manageable and the shots will be really good and you'll have time to give the still photographer a window to actually take the images. Yeah. Because that's another thing and we've worked together in the past and you've not always had the time and you've been fighting and then when that happens, it gets tough for everybody. But we all have a job to achieve. So I think if you've only got the budget for a day or two, don't necessarily think, the biggest action day. Yeah. Think of what is going to be most visually pleasing. What day has got your stars in it? What day can a stills photographer really sell your film? And that's what matters.
In one day.
Yeah, because if you've got this big action set piece day, we should bring them then. Do you really need to? Because the visuals will probably be really good. Yeah. Maybe you should bring them to a day that you would use the images for a poster or in the marketing. That's when you should bring them. And yeah, I just think 100% to market a film. I just worked on a film in like the packaging and sales process and they had no stills. Yeah. And it was just impossible. And to build anything, of high quality. And they were like, we can just export the frames from the films. Like, it's not the same. It doesn't work like that. It's a very different image. So it was really difficult. And I thought, if we just had stills right now.
Seeing the pictures that I took and the stills from the actual frame, are they different? Completely different? Or is it less quality? Or what is it that makes you say, oh no, I'd rather use the still than the frame grab?
I just think they're usually more eye-catching and they pop more, especially on social media and marketing. It's like, the stills could 100% be a frame of the film, but there's just, I don't know, something sharper and more crisp about them, a different type of image.
The frame of the film cannot be a still.
No. No, not in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah,
I mean, you could use, if we're working with like the best cameras in Hollywood and all of that, and we've got all the best lights, then why not? But we're not. We're working with what we can get, so I'd rather use the still. Yeah, in the indie world, we fight a lot for that. Yeah, I'm not saying like the grand scale, but from where we are and on the indie circuit, there's nearly always a difference. Especially. I remember that we struggle on the bus stop scene. Yeah, when it's very, very dark. Yeah, very dark with the lights. Traumatic even.
Yeah, but now that you say that, I remember that I struggle for my images because of the lack of light, and you struggle as well in order to film it, but we needed to get it done as well. So I just captured whatever I was able to get from the night. It was quite sharp though, or it's as sharp as I could get it. But I do understand what you say about the difference of it.
For sure. Well, if we're talking just like shutter speed as well, like, you know, there's going to be a lot of motion blur in just trying to take a still out of a film.
Yeah, on 50 frames per second.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you need the still for those bigger moments where everything can just be sharp and in focus. And, you know, I think it's so important, but you just need to pick your days if you can only get a couple.
That's going to be a takeaway. Pick a day to get a still photographer just to do promotion stuff from it. Because now I remember that, like seeing the pictures from Gladiator or Oppenheimer, they really wanted me to go to the cinema and watch the film.
Yeah, exactly.
Just from
And if you think as well, like, of stills that you see or stills that are used, or even the stills I've used for Melodrive, we don't use many.
Hi, sorry to interrupt this episode, but the camera stopped recording and we kept chatting for a while until I realized this happened. So let's just reset and get back to where we were on our conversation. The last question in regards of promoting your film with stills. So what was your take on it as wrapping things up?
So I think if you're struggling on budget and struggling to see if you can afford a stills photographer or if you should put the money elsewhere, my advice would be definitely get one. If you can't afford the whole shoot, pick 1 or 2 days, but don't pick your hardest day. Yes, it might be the scenes that look the best in the final film, but are you going to have time in that busy day to allow the stills photographer to do good work for you? You know, if not, pick a day that's manageable but markets the theme or the general main characters of your film the best. So that would be my advice. Pick a day, pick a 2, and don't cut out a stills photographer, because in terms of your marketing and release strategy, they will absolutely take it to another level.
Wrapping things up on the film background, you take pictures as well. You own a few cameras.
Yep.
You lately been shooting with the Fuji. You're a Fuji fanboy now. Why is that?
Well, I'm really into just like compacts for starters. I used to have a Leica Deluxe 7.
Yeah.
Not worth the hype, I don't think. And I used to shoot a lot of 35mm film, which is obviously expensive.
Yeah.
And then I wanted, the X100 for a long time, but then it was announced that the 6 was coming out. And I thought, okay, let's invest in that, because for one, the film simulations. I just wanted something where I wasn't going to have to get home and edit RAW or have really ugly JPEGs. And like the X100 has done that job. Like you can take the JPEGs out and they look amazing.
Do you find that using that all the time now?
Pretty much, yeah. Like, I sadly haven't picked up my Canon DSLR in a long time.
Yeah.
I would obviously use that for like actual projects, but like general just family stuff.
Yeah, going out in the park, just grab the Fuji and stuff like that.
Yeah, and also like it's just quick, and the hit rate of the camera is so good that like you can just snap away, but 90% will be good.
Oh, okay. What happened to the other 10%?
Don't know.
Well, is it out of focus or what?
That could be my error. I'm just blaming it on the camera.
Okay.
But you know what I mean? Like some cameras, if the autofocus isn't quick enough, or depending how well it captures like the highlights or shadows or the color, like Fuji just gets it, and it gets it quickly.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted it for. Just really good images I'd always be proud to look back on.
What happened to the film cameras, to the Canon AE1?
I still use it, but only on special occasions because it costs more and I'm satisfied with the Fuji. Like, I hate to say it because I'm a big, 35mm nerd, but, when you weigh up the cost and the quality of the Fuji and the fact you can dial in your own film simulations, you can get pretty much the same look. And it's fun to dial in film simulations as well, especially your own ones. It's kind of taken my desire away, but you still can't beat film. You know, and to quality and the general aesthetic of it. Yeah. So like special occasions or, unique projects that need it, 100%. I wouldn't replace it with the Fuji. For just general day-to-day life, there's no point me shooting 35mm film with the Fuji in my life.
I'm going to do a rapid questioning. Favorite focal length?
Ooh, 35.
Favorite director?
Richard Linklater.
Okay. Favorite film?
Before Sunrise. But the whole trilogy as one. So Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, Before Midnight is my number one favorite film. I know that's free, but I don't care.
I recently been, because there is this hype about the new 28 months later.
Mm-hmm.
I watched 28 days later. I watched the first one, the original. Have you watched that?
I have watched that, but not since I was a teenager. So,
okay, so it's been a while.
Couldn't go into it that deeply. But I like them, from what I can remember.
Yeah.
I always watched them again ahead of a new one.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's what.
The trailer was immense.
This is one thing. Apparently, it was like a big hit in the 2000s when it released. So I was greatly surprised as well when I watched it. I think there was a stepping stone into a lot of zombie films that we've seen these days. And I was like, I wanted to ask you that. What do you think about that? Because you're a big film nerd as well. You own a lot of film. You own a lot of merchandise.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom does as well.
Yeah, it runs in the family.
Yeah, so it runs in the family. That's it, Oscar.
Lovely. Thank you, Rigos. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much, mate.
See you on set.
Yeah. Hi, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. I really hope that you enjoy it. And if you did, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and let me know down below who would you like me to interview next. Until then, I'm gonna see you on the next episode.